Hello and welcome back to the Dandelion Diaries. I have another ink swatch video today, and it's not one of my ink explorations. This was a tag that was sent out by 𝗦𝗃𝗁𝗃𝗁 pen, excuse me. Her name is Sarah, and her tag is actually 𝗦𝗃𝗁𝗃𝗁, but her channel is called 𝗦𝗃𝗁𝗃𝗁 pens. But the tag is Ink Rainbow 23, and she inspired or wanted us all to kind of give our ink rainbow in like maybe some of the inks we use the most, our favorites in each color family, whatever. So I'm going to kind of do my best. I have way too many inks actually to pick a favorite, but these are probably the ones I've used the most, or the ones that I have strongly debated on getting bottles of if I don't already have bottles of them. Also, if you hear any noise in the background, I do have a small kitten who likes to play, so just try to ignore him if you can. Even if I voice over, he always manages to just kind of get in the way. Anyways, for supplies, this is my A5 Hobonichi notebook with a tomoe river paper. This is a old t-shirt that I've used as a towel. I have a dropper, a glass of water, and then instead of my condiment cup today, I'm going to be using a teeny tiny little stamping block. So this is the MU stamping block. I will try to link it if I can find it again. I got this years ago. I want to say from Jet Pens, so I'll see if I can find it. If not, it's just a tiny stamping block. But instead of doing like the writing out the names of everything, I'm just going to do the swatch, and then when we come back with them dried down, I will have the names written out next to them just to kind of save some time. But starting off, we're going to start with pink and then go all the way through gray. But pink, I don't write with generally, if I'm being honest. So this is not necessarily bright pink, but it is a dusty pink, and it is Herbin Rouille donc, which stands for Rusty Anchor, and it is a very dusty pink, almost like a dusty red pink, and it's very soft and muted to write with, and when you have a whole page of it, it is just, it's so pretty. Like, it's just a nice pretty ink, and it will look a little orange right off the bat, but when it dries down, it is much more pink. For my red, I don't typically write with any red. I've never owned a full bottle of red ink, if I'm being honest. It's just not my color. I really like this one, though. It is a sample from Vanessa, and it is Wearingeul's Human Problem or Human Issue. It looks like blood. I'm not kidding. It is the bloodiest red ink I have ever come across. It is so, honestly, kind of scary looking, but it's so interesting and beautiful at the same time. I really like the way it looks when it's, I guess, like a full page. But again, I don't write with red that often, so I don't have a full page of this that I've actually written. I have about half page. But it's just such a bloody red ink. For orange, I went with a Pen Chalet exclusive ink, and it is Robert Oster's Sunburn. And honestly, orange is such an interesting color to me because half the time they're really yellow or half the time they're really brown. And sometimes they're also red. So orange, I feel like, is such a hard ink color to come across that's actually orange. But when I swatched this one, it was very much a brown orange, a dusty orange, and I really liked the shade that it has when it dries down. Moving right along in our colors, we have yellow, and I never write with yellow. If you write with yellow, please tell me which one you use in the comments, because I've tried so many. But this one is Platinum's Citrus Black, and it is probably the most yellow that I would, like, the yellow that I would be most willing to write with, just because it is like black shading, I guess, so you can actually read it. That is one problem I have with yellow inks, is they are really unreadable for me, and I do wear glasses, so maybe that's part of it, is that the yellow just doesn't pick up well enough on, you know, my eyeballs. I don't know, but Citrus Black is really interesting. Moving on into the greens, I have so many green inks, it is ridiculous. So I picked one sample and one bottle because I couldn't pick just one, so I had to pick two, right? And this first one is Sailor Shikiori Tokiwa Matsu, and I want a full bottle of this ink so bad, but I'm trying to tell myself I need to make it through my other green inks before I buy a full bottle, because I don't need like 18 full bottles of green ink. I'm not saying I have 18, I think I have like 6, but This one is so cool, and when it dries down, you'll see what I mean, but it is just such an interesting ink. But the full bottle that I chose is Monteverde Olivine, and I currently have this inked up in my Sailor Compass, and it is in my June curling ink, so if you're interested in that, I'll link it up in the cards. But I really love this ink. It is so juicy. Like, I don't know, Monteverde inks are so underrated in my opinion, and I feel like they need more love, so I'm including them for sure in this one. But Olivine is definitely a true olive color to me. Yeah, and it's really close to the Matsu. I didn't even notice that before, but when this dries down, they're so different. So you'll get to see that. Moving on into our teals, I have my full bottle here. This is Robert Oster's River of Fire. I think this is about to here now. I have used this ink so much. It is so beautiful to journal with just because it has a very minor red sheen. And like when you turn the page, you get that little fleck of red. It's so beautiful. But I couldn't just pick one teal either because I really like writing with teal ink. I'm not a big blue ink person, but teal ink, come at me, I'm ready. But this one I wanted to use, and then I wanted to use another one that I also have a full bottle of, but I'm using the sample first. And that one is Ferris Wheel Press's Edwards Gardens. And then this one is Ferris Wheel Press Edwards Gardens. And it is a shimmer ink, like I said, and it reminds me a lot of the J. Herbin, what's it called? 𝗪𝗏𝗡𝗍𝗏. Because it is that kind of like a bluish teal color, and then it has gold and red, and it's just such an interesting ink. Ugh, it's so cool. Moving on into the blues, if you've watched any of my ink explorations, you will know I have a very hard time choosing a favorite blue ink or even a blue ink to own a full bottle of. But recently I have been absolutely loving this one. It is Pilot Iroshizuku Tusyu Kusa, and I think this is the one they discontinued. I don't remember, but there is one of the blue inks that they no longer are producing, and this one might be it. But the blue inks for the Pilot Iroshizukus are very similar to me. They all have a little bit of a different color to them, obviously, because they are different inks. But this one is just such a beautiful cornflower blue to me, and I really like how it looks. Moving on into the indigos, I only picked one, but I have several, and this is DeAtramentis Sherlock Holmes. I really like the DeAtramentis human, I guess, bottles, the ones with like the little famous people on them, like there's a Bach one, I have the Alexander Hamilton one, there's the Gandhi one, like there's so many, but they're just so good. Like the quality of the inks is just fabulous, and I feel like they write really well on any surface, really, actually. And I've never had a problem with them in any of my pens, and they're just really beautiful to look at. But Sherlock Holmes to me is indigo, pure indigo. It is the kind of like a bluish purple, end of the rainbow indigo color, and I wanted to include it for sure. Purples. This is so hard for me. I have so many purple inks. Like, okay, so my colors are usually green, teal, purple, and brown. So I have 2 of all of those. But for my purples, I'll go with my favorite that I have right now, and that is the DeAtramentis Alexander Hamilton. This is a aubergine color, or like a darker purple, and I really like this one. Honestly, the purples that I typically go for are the darker purples, but this one is so fun to write with. I have endless amounts of journal pages with this color just because of how much I love it so much. And for a while, I wasn't even able to get a bottle because they were sold out everywhere. And now they are back in stock in most places. So that is always exciting to see that we are able to still get this beautiful ink. But the other purple is a recent one for me, as of 2022 anyways. And that is Diamine's Solar Storm. This is from their green ink vent, and you can get the full bottles of these now. You can use code DANIELLE10@Atlas to save 10%. Solid plug right there, but we love savings. But Solar Storm is this moody purple with this chameleon green gold shimmer. It is stunning. I haven't inked this in a pen yet, but I am so excited to, and I believe It might be in a video coming up soon, but I'm not going to do any spoilers. So anyways, moving out of the purples, we will get straight into the browns, which is another one of my favorite inks to write with. And I couldn't do brown without Pilot Iroshizuku Ina Ho. And this one's probably also a green, but it's also a brown, but it's also kind of yellow. It's rice ear, I believe, is the translation. And it is, I'm so mad they discontinued this ink. So if Pilot could bring it back, that would be great. Because trying to find these now is like trying to pay a mortgage on a house because of how much people are asking for them. But I'm so glad that I actually have a full bottle. So I'm going to cherish this for as long as I can because it is a very special ink to me. But the other brown I wanted to go with that was actually more brown is Ferris Wheel Press Writing Desk. And this is a collab they did with Wonder Pens up in Canada. And this ink is so pretty. Like, it's brown and it has this green and yes. But this brown is stunning. It's just this beautiful brown. Moving on into the blacks. I picked my favorite black. This was my very first bottle of ink. It was Diamine Onyx Black. I have used this black so many times. I think I'm down to maybe like here, maybe even lower now. I honestly don't even know because the bottle's so dark. But I've used this ink over and over again, and it's definitely a favorite. I have another black that I was going to include, but I decided not to because it's another shimmer ink, and I know shimmer inks aren't necessarily very easy to write with in all cases. So I wanted to include as many non-shimmering inks as I could. But this is Diamine's Onyx Black, and it is a true trusty black. It has a mild gunmetal black sheen, and yeah, I had this inked in my May currently inked video, and it was very disappointing because I've had this in so many pens and I've always loved it. And the one pen that I put it in that time was my 𝗬𝗎𝗄 Eco in extra fine, and it just did not want to write. And I think it's just that pen because all of my other extra fine Ecos are absolutely fine. That one just is extra special. But the last ink I have is the gray families. And this one, again, was really hard to choose because gray inks are they actually gray? Like, and if you've watched my ink exploration for gray inks, you will totally understand what I'm saying. But this is 3 Oysters, I Color You Doldam. And it's kind of like a yellow gray, actually, or like a brown gray. But I really like this color, and it is just very interesting for sure. Okay, so I'm going to write down all the names of these, and then I will come back and show you the little dried swatches. I do like how I did a kind of rainbow, but it is not super bright. It is definitely more dark and muted, which is what I like to write with, so I'm happy with my choices. But I will see you guys in a minute. All right, we are all dried down. Let me zoom you guys in, and we will get some close-ups. So starting with our pinks, we have Herbin Rouille donc, or Rusty Anchor, that kind of dusty pinky color. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of bright pink, so this is perfect for me. Then we have our red. Oh my gosh, it is like blood on a page. Wearingeul's Human Issue. It is such a beautiful red color. It's dark, it's moody. It really is like you cut your finger and it fell on the page. Then we have our orange Robert Oster's Pen Chalet exclusive Sunburn. I love this color, and the shading on it is just so cool. It doesn't really have a sheen, but you might be able to pick it up on camera. It has a little bit of like a greenish color to it. I don't know. Then we have Platinum Citrus Black. This is, like I said, the only yellow I have been able to write with and be able to read. So if you have any other recommendations, I would love to see them in the comments. Then we have our 2 greens here. We have Sailor Shikiori Tokiwa Matsu. Goodness. And you can see that gorgeous shade red sheen. Oh my gosh. It is so cool. I really want a full bottle of this so bad. I'm not kidding. Then we have Monteverde Olivine. Really just a solid olive color. I love the way this ink writes. It's juicy. It works in every pen I've put it in. And yeah, again, if I went through all my greens, we'd be here for 8 years. Moving on into our teal family here. Robert Oster River of Fire. You can see that mild red sheen on it. It is so beautiful. I love journaling with this ink, and it matches my 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 Persian green super well, so really happy with that. Then we have Edward's Gardens. This ink, the first time I swatched it, I was shocked. It is so beautiful. It is a shimmer and a sheener, so it doesn't necessarily do well on all papers, but I love this ink so much that I showed my boyfriend and he wanted a full bottle of it. So we definitely each have a bottle of this ink. Moving on into our blue family, again, I can't decide, but this one is actually a discontinued ink. I did look it up. It is Pilot Iroshizuku Tusyu Kusa, and I believe the color is royal blue, but it writes like this beautiful soft blue, and it has a little bit of shading to it, and I really just love it so much. Then we have DeAtramentis Sherlock Holmes for our indigos. It is such a gorgeous dark blue color. I feel like a blue-black is probably indigo at the same time, but indigo is a little bit more purpley. I don't know, you tell me. But it does have a very mild red sheen to it, and it's such a cool ink, and I really am debating on getting a full bottle of that one as well. Then we moved on into our purples, and probably my favorite ink to write with as of 2023 so far is this DeAtramentis Alexander Hamilton, just because it's purple and black, and it has a very mild gold sheen to it, and it's so fun. And then you can probably see Solar Storm down here. If you were to get any ink from the 2022 ink vent, I highly recommend this one. Highly, 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 highly recommend. It is so cool. And it is the chameleon one. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it does have a green and gold shimmer to it. It's so pretty. Then we have browns, Pilot Iroshizuku Ina Ho, crowd favorite, round of applause. Sad that it's discontinued, but glad that I am able to have a bottle and use it sparingly until I run out. But I love this ink so much and really hope they bring it back at some point. Then for our second brown, this is definitely more brown, is Writing Desk by Ferris Press and Wonder Pens and their collaboration. It has that green sheen to it and a little bit of shading. It is so pretty. And then for black, I know it's kind of boring, but it is the Diamine Onyx Black, and this is just such a good writer for me. The only pen I've had problems with is that 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, like I said, but it's just, you need a standard black, you really do. And then for last, we have gray, and this is the 3 Oysters I Color You Doldam, and again, that shading in it, it's so interesting. It's kind of like yellow, kind of brown, kind of blue. I really want to see the chromatography on this one if anybody's done it, so let me know if you've done the chromatography because I'd really want to watch. But I am really happy that Sarah from 𝗦𝗃𝗁𝗃𝗁 Pens came out with this tag. It was so fun to kind of sift through my inks and all the collection I have and only pick 1, sometimes 2 of my favorites, or the ones that I use the most, and I'm really happy with my choices. If you did the ink rainbow tag too, let me know in the comments, or if you have any of your favorites but don't want to make a video, then leave them down in the comments for me as well, because I'd love to see what kind of inks you guys tend to go for. I will definitely be tagging 𝗦𝗃𝗁𝗃𝗁, so thank you so much, Sarah, for coming up with this, and I really had fun, truly. If you're interested in more content from me, I have an Instagram. I will leave it on the screen. And if you're interested in any more ink explorations or ink swatching videos from me, I will leave it down in the description. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.